Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Warriors Invitational. It's your boy Gautam, joined today by my boy Matt and our guy Edwin from Silver Screen and Roll Lakers guy here today, guys. So we're it's gonna be
The Lakers
the
blog,
Lakers
everybody.
blog.
So
So we got the head honcho here. Gonna be a fun one, man. I'm excited for this. Uh, obviously got the whole Warriors Lakers rivalry last year, this year, double overtime, whatever it is. But Edwin, man, thank you for joining us, brother. How you doing today?
Good, good. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's I'm looking forward to the conversation. Lakers Warriors has been fun the last couple years since LeBron joined. It's always kind of been an interesting matchup.
yeah, it turned from just cross state rivalry to some real bad blood. So it's kind of cool now, huh? Edwin, just real quick, man, tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there at Silver Screen and Roll, man.
Yeah, so I'm the lead writer at Silver Screen and Roll, which, as you mentioned, is a premier Lakers site that covers the Lakers, all things Lakers. So I'm there writing daily, simple stuff like news recaps and also game recaps. We go in depth also with like features, interviews, and just covering everything that happens with the Lakers. The goal is just that essentially anything that you want to know about the team, we're locked in, and that goes all the way from the G League up to what's happening with LeBron and AD and Palinka and all the main things. So we're just trying to cover all the bases and do it for the people interested in reading about what's happening day to day on the Lakers.
So you heard it here first, guys. We have Palinka's right-hand man on the pod. So
Not his right hand man. I do see him. He's always at the games, and I see him often. But besides a couple, nods of acknowledgement, we don't have too many conversations.
love that, man. To start things off, Edwin, just to kind of get to a casual one, man. Just a goofy question to start us, man. What's the earliest or oldest age you think you right now, Edwin, could beat LeBron James in a foot race? To be clear, what age is LeBron? You're you right now. What is the age you pick LeBron to be at where you think you have a chance, man?
So, okay. The first question I have on the question is, how long is this foot race?
Ooh, that's a great question, man. We'll
40
say
yard dash, 40 yard dash, 40 yard
40.
dash.
Oh my God, 40-yard dash. He's really fast. Okay. So the good thing I have going for me, the good thing I have going for me is I actually am a long distance runner, so I'm relatively in good shape.
There we go.
I know at my top speed, I can do like a 6 minute mile, I think, which I think is like 20 miles per hour for a moment. So I'm sure he can smash that now. So I think I'll take him at 60.
60.
But I don't think he'll be able to do that at 60. I think 40, he's got me. 50, he probably still got me. I think 60, I got him. As a kid, I mean, he was a superhuman almost immediately. So I think I'd go for maybe 9 or 10. Because once we get to the teenage years, I mean, he was a professional as a teenager. So I'm going to get a little nervous. If he's like 15, he might already have me. So I'll take him at 10 and 60, which is like a ridiculous.
I like that.
It's so good, man.
Give her
I
the
think I'm
strides.
going 6 years old and 70 years old for me, man. 6 years old, 70. That's where I'm going.
You might still have me, man. I we'll see. Let me see. It's 55. You know what? Give me a
Wow.
55-year-old LeBron. I still got the mountain legs
Wow.
on me. So hopefully then that 20 miles an hour is sick though, man. I think Tyreek Hill hit like 25 in the playoffs. So you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But Edwin, all right. I guess I'll get the other one out of the way. Desert Island, you're trapped. One guy on this current Lakers squad. Who do you want it to be? Who do you not want it to be? If it had to be one.
I definitely want it to be LeBron
Okay.
because it's interesting. LeBron's a person, when you think about LeBron, you have your opinions, you have your thoughts, and you might think if I asked you, do you know about a lot about LeBron? You probably would say yes. But when you really think about it, the answer is no. He's one of the most available players who says nothing. I don't know who LeBron is as a human being. Like, I feel like he's very guarded in that sense. Like, he went to high school with a really tight circle. That tight circle has stayed tight. He hasn't had bad moments where you can kind of see him exposed, what have you, or anything like that. And I feel like he's very calculated in how he speaks. So I don't really know who he is. If we were on a desert island, he'd have to take off the mask and just be himself while we survive that. And I think I would actually be one of the few people who could answer, oh, I actually know who he really is when he's not thinking about the media's around, the cameras are around,
Yeah, man.
that kind of thing.
Get the
So
If
that would
this
be
is the
my
cap
case,
stuff.
you
yeah.
go ahead, Gautam, what'd you say?
No, I was like, get the cap stuff out of the way. Get to know the
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
Bron,
yeah.
real Bron. No, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
man. He would tell you that he knew this was gonna happen. He's gonna say, "I knew I'd end up on this island with you, Edwin."
Edwin, I read an article on your blog, and I figured we'd be there someday.
We'd work well together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
For the person I would not want to be, it's tough because I genuinely, for the most part, like the players. There's a scale to that, but there's not one where I'm like, oh, not you. I would probably say just process of elimination. I'd probably go Torian Prince just because I don't know his personality that much. He's kind of quiet. So I'm like, maybe he's weird or something. And I'm like, now I'm stuck with this guy who's really quiet and like we're on this desert island. So that's probably the only person to go with because I just don't have enough information to know if that would be a good match on a desert island.
So just to preface, Edwin is around the team every day. He's covering them live and up close. Edwin, what if we reframe this for you? Who do you think is the least likely to actually help you survive in this island because of whatever it is? They're too nice. They don't have the survival skills. Who's that guy?
It's hit or miss. I think D'Lo might just make me do all the work.
Oh no.
I think D'Lo will either be really cool or he'll be like, I don't really like you. And I'm like, dang, okay. Because D'Lo feels like I don't know how he's gonna go. That includes when I'm there in media day. Some days he's like really open, he's like down to talk, and some days he's very standoffish. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a rough interview today. So I feel like D'Lo, that's what it would be like on the island. He might be like, oh no, I got you. And he's like helping me gather sticks and stones. And there might be a day where he's like, you do it, I'm not doing that. I guess we'll be cold today. And I'm like, oh, now I gotta be responsible. So I feel like D'Lo, his mood can switch on me, and he might be someone who gives me some trouble if he's on a bad day. And we got to get some work done on the island.
I'll tell you who D'Lo doesn't want to see, man. Nick Young, another Lakers legend. So hopefully they don't get on. Maybe they should just hash out all the stuff that they got in the past. But Edwin, just kind of jumping into the real hoops talks now. I like how we started off with that, but just talk to me right now, man. Where are the Lakers at in their in the season right now relative to the expectations that you guys had going in? Obviously, last season was kind of an interesting one, just obviously with the whole roster at the beginning, obviously the Westbrook stuff and all the off the court trade stuff that you might go down, might not. But then obviously post trade deadline, you guys made a lot of moves, got some really short up that defense on the wings and made a conference final run. Obviously went through us in the second round and really took that size and length.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear.
Yeah. I think y'all beat us in the second round last year.
Went through. I think it was a direct quote.
Went
through.
Last year was you catch it on a good day, man. Because last year and this year has been one where we've gotten used to seeing a lot more losses than we've been accustomed to. 4 titles in 5 whatever 7 years. I think Braun has 3.5. That's what I remember. No, I'm playing. No, just talk to me. So obviously, like a conference finals run, and then again, you're kind of in a similar playing boat, but obviously you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis. The role guys are similar to the ones that went into that conference finals run. So talk to me, just kind of where the season's at from your eyes, covering the team, just and as a fan in general, like compared to what you guys had going in, because I know there's a lot of talk about the Lakers being in that title contention and really building off of that conference finals run from last year.
Yeah, I think the fans are a little disappointed. They expected a top 4, somewhere in the 4. The West is always intense, as both of you know. So I don't think no one can ever confidently say they're going to be the 1 seed, except the Warriors when they had Kevin Durant that first year. Other than that, even if you're a great team, you're like, well, I might not get the 1st seed because it's intense and maybe like a younger team's going to want that more, right? So I think you're just expecting good. And I think good in the West is top 4. You're top 4. It means you have home court. It means you're amongst the best. And we'll see where things lie. And can you maybe win 1 road series if you have to, right? And the Lakers are definitely not fitting that description. They're in the 9th seed. And there's a lot of context for that. I think that context has helped cool fans' frustration. I think also the evidence that, hey, we literally did this last year with this same roster. Let's just get a little bit healthier. Let's get a couple key players back. And let's go. I think that's helped. And I think the fact that they're on a 3-game winning streak right now and won 7 of their last 10, they're starting to see proof of concept. Look, Rui's playing well. This team is the same team that went that far. They can do it again. I think that optimism has kind of fanned the flames from people being extremely outraged or extremely mad. I think if you would have told fans at the beginning of the season this would be their record at the All-Star break and let them know, oh, by the way, LeBron and AD pretty much play every game, they would be like, what the heck's going on? And there were definitely moments like that, but I think they've calmed down now that they see the team's kind of heading in the right direction. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to reach, I think, that top 4 area, but they might potentially get out of the play-in. And I think fans and the team feel comfortable. Hey, if we get in, good luck, because if we are healthy, we're going to be a tough out just like we were last year.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, man. I think it's kind of a funky question to ask right now, because I feel like if we'd asked you this a month ago, even the answer would be completely different, right? The Lakers, kind of like the Warriors, obviously, I think a couple games ahead still in the standings, but like they're on the up and up. They do look way more like the conference finals team last year than they did, 6 months ago. Do you feel like, again, this is you, Edwin, do you think conference finals is the ceiling? Is finals the ceiling? Or are you just saying whatever, one-off series, I'm not picking anybody against LeBron? Where are you at?
I'd probably say conference finals is the ceiling. It's really hard to imagine further than that, because that means you have to beat a team like the Clippers, Nuggets, or Suns. To do that, you might have to beat a couple of those teams. I think that's a lot to ask this team. I think it's a bit too much to go further than that, but they can get there. And again, it's going to definitely depend, especially how tight the West is on standings and who faces who. It's going to be very matchup based. This is going to be another year just like last year, where a 7th, 8th, 6th seed could 100% win the series and might even be favored in some of those series, depending on what the matchup is, because it's going to be so matchup based. There's so much talent up and down the West right now that I don't even think the seeding is going to matter quite as much as the matchups are going to matter.
Yeah, I feel like if you're the Lakers, you kind of automatically got to want like an OKC or Minnesota in that first round. You probably feel okay. But who knows? Edwin, you mentioned a couple of things that I think that the Lakers have in common with the Warriors this year. AD and LeBron missing like what 5 or 6 combined games so far is crazy. I think Steph's missed 3 games this year. I want to say at most 4. I think in a season like that, you expect one of these 2 teams to be like top 5, top 6 teams at least, right? That's not the way it's gone. Both these teams at the trade deadline decided to stand pat despite their superstars having pretty like we can still do this type years, right? First of all, what was your reaction to the Lakers? Obviously, quiet is like an understatement, right? They didn't do shit at the trade deadline. Like, what was your reaction to that? The non-moves, first of all, and who are some guys that you and the rest of I don't even want to. I don't like saying Laker Nation out loud, but you and the rest of Laker Nation were hoping for.
So all throughout, because obviously, yes, I'm at the stadium, so I know a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, a little ahead of the curve of what is actually reported. And one thing I kind of consistently heard was, we don't like any of these moves. You're probably not going to see anything. And I kind of didn't believe the people telling me. I'm like, yeah, you're saying that now. But I mean, of course, once we get closer, right? And they were like, no. And I'm like, I mean, come on. You're going to make some move, right? And they're like, not unless things change dramatically. And I kind of never believed it until, maybe 2 hours before the deadline was up. And I'm like, oh, I think they were telling the truth. I think they didn't like any of the moves, didn't like any of the deals. So I was still surprised, because that was still my expectation that someone would budge. The Lakers would get off their price. A team like Atlanta with DeJounte Murray, they're going to get off their price. Someone's going to budge, and no one budged. That surprised me. When there's that much talk, you would think someone would finally decide, okay, let's just get it done. But it just didn't happen. I think Murray was probably the most interesting one. But as was also reported, D'Lo was just playing so good. And do I think Murray would be better? Yes, but barely. And I think the fact that I said but barely, and you have to give up D'Lo, probably another player, probably your first round draft pick, it's a lot for barely better. And also, that's still assuming that Murray can be better right away and immediately integrate himself into the situation and automatically be what he's going to be with those guys. There's no wiggle room. You got 30 games to figure it out. And really, you have like 2 games, because we need to win games to come back. So it can't just be you get it there. They're not a top 4 seed. They need to win games now. So I think all of that context is why it didn't happen. I think Murray was the most like requested name that I saw. But I think fans in general just wanted some kind of move. I think they were just frustrated that literally nothing happened. I think even something like Tyus Jones would have moved the needle enough for some fans. They just felt like, oh, you didn't do anything. And it wasn't from lack of trying. It was just sometimes no deal is better than a bad deal. And from what the Lakers saw, they didn't see a deal worth making. So they didn't make one just to say, look, I did something on deadline day.
Yeah, that's I mean, even just as you're kind of breaking that down with the whole, D'Lo playing better and kind of avoiding those trade talks, I can't help but see the similarities with the Warriors, man. Like with Wiggins, and then
Andrew
yeah,
Wiggins.
Wiggins with us, man. Like he was obviously, same. DeJounte Murray was a guy that the Warriors were looking at. Obviously the reports or wherever, but Wiggins was one of those guys where you're like, hey, he's the one that you're gonna move off of, and it sounded like if there was a deal to be made, it was gonna be Wiggins, but. Wiggs kind of stepped it up the last few weeks as well, and it turned around not only our season, but for him just to see more motivated. And I think D'Lo, we saw it against us, man. Like some of those clutch threes that he hit in the Chase Center that day in the double overtime game. So definitely cool, but definitely want to follow up here, man. Like just as a fan of the game, man. How is the trade deadline from a media standpoint? Like, are you there like on the on the ground? Like, is there like if you hear rumors and like, hey, this guy, like, do we have this ready to go? Like, what's that day like for you? Those few hours or that week kind of leading up to that deadline.
Deadline is I probably would wish it on my enemies, but that's probably the only person I'd wish it on. It's a mad dash. It's so many things. I'll try to wrap it up as quickly and briefly as I can. But essentially, it's like looking at all the branches on a tree and being like, you have to make sure you take care of all of them. And that just becomes too much because, yes, nothing happened. You would think, oh, nothing happened. You probably relaxed all day, right? No. What that meant was I had to be on edge for an Andre Drummond pickup, a DeJounte Murray trade, Tyus Jones, Bruce Brown Jr. I had to have information on that, had to have sometimes some articles kind of sort of ready, things on edge. You got podcasts going the whole day. I'm talking with my editors, getting ready for what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? Okay, if it doesn't happen, we're gonna do this. And I have to be ready for all scenarios, not just waiting for one to happen. Because ideally, the minute it comes out, we're already feet on the ground, halfway done with something. We already have an idea of, okay, now we know this is what we need. Let's go with all the stuff we were talking about with this particular player. So we still had to have all our bases covered, even if nothing happened. And then adding on that day, it was just a trifecta for my perspective. Had all that information, all the stuff trade deadline coming down to the wire. Then we had no moves, which almost was worse than having moves because we still had to stay ready because we knew that anything could happen. You have a hard time that it's over at 12. Then that was the same day we had the Kobe statue unveiling, which was at
Oh, that's
3.
right. Yeah.
So the minute it was done, it was just wrap up. And then I get in my car, I'm driving down to the stadium. Statue was unveiled there, covering that. Then they had Lakers Nuggets at 7. So it was just hit after hit after hit the whole day. So it was absolutely ridiculous. It's obviously, there's I'm a fan of Nicolas Cage, as many Americans are, and I like the movie Lord of War, and he has a really great line in there. It says there's 2 tragedies in life, and it's getting what you want and not getting it. And so while it's a blessing to do what I had to do, that also means I had to do it. So I was like, oh man, it was a long day. Like no breaks. The closest thing to a break I got was ironing my shirt to go to the game. It was like 6 a.m. till like literally 2 a.m. Right, recapping Lakers Nuggets and all that. So it was just a mad dash. Maybe if it was just the deadline, it would have, died down in the afternoon. I could have like taken a nap or something. But no, it was just, hey, the minute you wake up, it's all basketball and it's gonna go for 18 hours and just drink some water and let's get it. So we got it done. I think we did a pretty good job on it. Then we had to cover, like I said, right away, we had to cover the next thing, which was the buyout market, which was Spencer Dinwiddie. So we had to pivot there. Oh, and in the middle of all that, Pelinka's like, I'm going to talk to the media after the statue unveiling. So I had to run down the hallway and do an interview with Pelinka and get those quotes. So it was that kind of day. It was a mad dash, but it was fun and it was good to kind of experience. And now I'll be even more prepared next time because unfortunately, I think the thing about that is if your team's name is constantly in the trade deadline, probably mean things aren't going great because there's some years where it'll be slower because it's just like fringe players at the end of the roster. But just like the Lakers and Warriors are in the same boat where they're thinking we might make a seismic shift because we're not where we want to be, but we do have some pieces that make sense. So yeah, that's kind of how the trade deadline day was for me. It was definitely an active day.
It sounds like the dream, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. You said you wish what you want, and shout out Nicolas Cage, but this does seem busy to say. Can't believe that. Yeah, that's the Kobe statue, the Nuggets game, trade that is a big one. So props, man. Kudos.
Thank you.
So Edwin, Yeah, man. Also, that's tough, man. Congrats to you for getting through that. That sounds like a hellish, but also kind of beautiful day simultaneously. Lakers didn't do anything, man. So that's frustrating for fans, right? In a lot of ways, you kind of called it out. Obviously, they've kind of surged since then. But I'm gonna ask you this question. I'm gonna ask you what is fans feeling or fans in hell right now? What are Lakers fans just up in arms about all the time? We know how fandom works a lot of the time, right? There's always something to be really pissed off about. For the Warriors, Steve Kerr is like a lightning rod of anger and rage. Chris Paul getting any minutes at all is like we're all waiting in this like really dark part of our souls for Chris Paul to come back from his injury because we love the way Pajemski's been playing. We don't want any point guard minutes going to anybody besides him or Steph, right? We sent Corey Joseph off the gulag, and he's that was all like part of a plan. It felt like God's plan, right? But what right now are Laker fans just consistently just so upset about, man?
Well, it's the same as Warrior fans. It's the head coach, anytime the times I've had the most traction on Twitter, it's been just literally quoting what Ham says the press conference, and it doesn't matter what it is. They're up in arms about it. They hate his response. They just everything. It's just one of those things. It doesn't even matter if it makes sense. He's getting all the smoke for why didn't you start this guy? Why didn't you play this guy? Why did you take so long to call a timeout when the team was going on a run? Why did you use your challenge? Are your hands in your pocket? Like everything is just like they've had it with them. They were basically trying to speak into an existence a scenario where he would be getting fired, and there just wasn't any. There isn't any. I don't know how Ham's entire tenure will be, or if he will be finish out his contract and all that. But I can assure, and I did assure fans, like I've heard nothing that he's in any trouble for this season. They're playing the season out. This is just how the season's going. And that fact did not sit well with them. It was almost like I was in charge. Like, but why? I'm like, I'm just telling you the truth. Like, he's gonna be here unless they lose, 10 in a row or something. And I don't think that's gonna happen. So just kind of bear with it, and we'll assess that later. But that's definitely something that has them up in arms. Winning solves everything, and with the wins, you hear less and less of it. But even now, he doesn't get any credit for the wins. So the wins is like, oh well, of course, finally the players have he's finally made the right decision after so many whatever. So it's just one of those things. He's at this point, he's not going to get any like love or respect or like a 180. The fans have just kind of begrudgingly been okay with him as the games have been more wins than losses recently. But he's definitely the number one unanimous. There's not too many fans that are in his corner right now.
It's the most thankless job in sports, man. All respect to these guys. To be clear, Steve Kerr has won, 4 titles in the Bay now, and I complain. We all complain sometimes. You know what I mean? The guy is not perfect, to be clear, and I think nobody understands that stuff better than a team's own fans. But also, it is just the most thankless job. If Darvin Ham goes Steve Kerr's way, he's like, what's Darvin Ham, like 50 right now, right? He's gonna look like he's 75 in about 2 years. So, good luck to him. Second kind of similar-ish question, I guess. Who's a player right now kind of on the opposite end of that, right? Who's a player, good vibes all year? Who's a guy who's brought the good vibes to the Lakers all year long? I mentioned Pajemski earlier. Gautam, I don't know if you agree, man. For me, he's kind of that dude for the Warriors this season. Just kind of brought like the good energy all year, always plays his heart out, plays the right way on the floor. He's always trying to win. He's always got his head up. We love that. But for you, who's the first guy that comes to mind?
Max Christie. I think people have certain conceptions about Laker fans. Ones that, oh, they're just entitled and they just care about the stars and that's all. And I'm not going to say that's not into there's some fairness to that. But one thing I think people from the outside don't understand is Laker fans love all their players, especially in the beginning. They love everyone. And when you're homegrown, they really love you. Like they are pushing for you hard. That's why Austin Reeves gets so much love. Besides the fact he's wearing the jersey, and when you're wearing that jersey, they'll highlight your high school plays. They're all in on you, like all the way. And Max Christie's one of those guys. He's young. He just turned 21 like a week ago. So he's in the second season with the Lakers, second season in the NBA, and he's been getting that kind of love since his very first summer league. People have been a fan. They've been embracing him. They've been wanting him to get more minutes, wanting him to get more of an opportunity. And this season, he's kind of getting it due to, one, his performance, and 2, a few injuries, and he's performed well. So he's a player that fans are always happy for, always excited. They want to see him play more minutes. And, in his defense, he's played well in those minutes. I think his ceiling, at least of right now, is NBA starter. I think he will be an NBA starter in this league, if not for the Lakers, for someone else. It's somewhere down the road. Or it could be for the Lakers. I hope it's for the Lakers. I enjoy everything about him. He's a great player, and I think that's why he's one of the ones people are always excited when Max is on the floor, and they're hoping that regardless of who is available, those minutes stay in that 18 to 24-minute range the rest of the year.
And then on the flip side, I mean, obviously Max Christie, he's got that Kobe face too. I don't know if you've probably definitely seen that, like the young Kobe face. So definitely gonna be a fan. Is there anybody that like for I know for us like this year it was Corey Joseph, man. Anytime he stepped on the floor, it was like your blood just started boiling. The dude honestly wasn't even that bad looking back on it, but it's kind of made your blood. But is there anybody like that on this current Lakers squad that gets on and blood is just is
Twitter goes off, man. The Twitter, why is he in? Put me in, coach. Put anybody in. Who's that guy for you?
Two players, kind of. I think it kind of fluctuates because we've seen all the players kind of have good moments too. But I think Taurean Prince just starting and the minutes that he gets, even when he doesn't start, people have been annoyed with. Now that he's on the bench, they're a little more relaxed, but they're still like, he still played 28 minutes. He still played 31 minutes. He's just not starting. Like, I don't like it. So he kind of gets no love. And he's got a tough job too because he's known as like a 3-and-D guy. So like he gets like 6 shots, and if they don't go in, he's a bum. And if he makes them, they're like, well, it's about time. You missed, the other 2 weeks, you missed whatever. So he gets like no grace, no wiggle room at this point, and fans are kind of sick of him. Another player is kind of Christian Wood a little bit. When he's playing well, they love it, but when he's not, they're like, get him out of there, get him out of there. He's got kind of a short leash with the fans. They're not mad the minute he gets in, but after the first like 3 minutes, if it's not looking right, you can check. You'll know on Twitter because they'll let you know.
Hell yeah. And then obviously, man, last year this slept on guy obviously took the series from us, Lonnie Walker. And since then it's always felt like there's been a dude on any team, doesn't matter who it is, we'll never hear of him, but he just has some sort of a career game against the Warriors, whether that's threes, rebounds, doesn't matter. Who's that guy on the Lakers? Like who is that guy that, you guys know him, but like for us, I feel like maybe a Trace Jackson Davis type where you probably don't really know him if you're not a Warriors fan, but you've seen him a little bit. But who's that guy on the Lakers that can come in and kind of Lonnie Walker it in Game 4 like he did last year?
I don't think they have a scorer quite like Lonnie Walker on this team that can do that, but one player that can, when he gets on, it definitely like gives the team an extra boost they're not expecting is Jackson Hayes. For much of the season, he kind of got some run early, but then once he didn't show, he was basically glued to the bench. And recently, he's just really, really played well. He's been aggressive. He's been attacking. His pick and rolls and screens have been better. He's even been kind of protecting the rim pretty well, which he's not known for at all. And I think when he's getting going, it's like, oh, well, now we just unlocked another level of potential for the team because if he can do this, oh, we're gonna really start cooking now. So I think anytime Hayes is playing good, the Lakers are probably winning that game because that just might be one too many good things happening when he gets going.
Yeah, he's one of those guys at like the beginning of the season where he felt like a perfect LeBron weapon, right? Just like crazy freak athlete. And so that makes me a little nervous. He's like a bigger, taller TJD in that way. That's the only kind of comparison I can make here. Just freaky, bouncy guys, right? No, but I love it. So Edwin, you're a lifelong fan, man. If fans can't see your wall, you're decorated with Lakerdom all over you. And so I hate you for one. So there's that. But second, who is a Lakers role player of yesteryear? It could be any time in the past that you think would be a perfect fit for this squad right now. Who's the guy you want back? It can be a Kobe era. It could be, the good old dark years from 2010 to 16, 17, 18, right?
Wayne Ellington type,
Yeah. But who's a guy you think would be a perfect role player for this Lakers squad?
I think J.R. Ryder would be interesting. That would be a fun one. He's a swing player. He's not the most dynamic, but I would like to see him in the modern NBA. And if he can just kind of keep his attitude together and just be a bucket and be a slasher combo guard, I think that would be a really, really fun one. Kind of cheating and going like a little wild. I mean, someone like Nick Van Exel with D'Lo, that would just be dumb. That would just be dumb.
He was a one-time All-Star. I don't think you could take Van Exel, man. I think he made the game once.
Yeah, someone like that would be fun. But yeah, if you want to go strictly role, never was that big. J.R. Ryder would be an interesting one for sure.
That's a name I wouldn't have even been able to pull. You could have asked me a million, man. It wouldn't come out. I would have guessed KCP. I would have guessed Caruso more recently. Maybe Robert Sacre, man. You're all the big fella.
Not Sacre. Sacre, he can stay on the bench.
Oh, that's too funny, man. Well, all right. Hey, Gautam, go ahead, man.
No, I was gonna say, and then just to kind of cap off this little Lakers rapid fire segment, kind of hottest Laker take for the season, man. What is that? What does that take for you? That if you had to just stand on it right now, as
You're going against Stephen A. Smith right now.
yeah,
The Lakers will win their first round series regardless of who they play.
Oh,
fair
I
enough.
love that, man. Lakers over
I
Denver
see
in round one. I'm all in.
I see that. I see that. Well,
Go.
yeah, Edwin. So appreciate all the Lakers talk, man. But obviously, it's a little bit of Warriors pod here too. Want to start off just with just the fan, or maybe even just like your take from more of a media standpoint of this Warriors team. Obviously last coming out, you won a title in 22, coming off last year, up and down season, got to the second round, obviously lost to you guys. And then this year again, one of those just up and down weird seasons. Draymond obviously missing time, and Steph playing as well as he has, but kind of finding that balance on the roster. When you see the Warriors right now, obviously sitting at 27 and 26, right behind you guys in the 10th seed now. What is your take on this Warriors season? Because obviously, like the similarities between our two teams are pretty prevalent in terms of even from like the fans hating the coaching, like just even from there, but even just in terms of having the two of the all-time greatest players in this era in Steph and LeBron, and just having that belief of like, hey, if we can get there, we can make a run and we can make some noise. So from the outside looking in, as a Lakers fan, like, do you still have that kind of feeling with the Warriors, or are you more on like, hey, if we see these guys again, like we got them, like this they're not really a threat?
Be
No,
honest, Edwin.
no. Steph Curry is the boogeyman. You don't want to see him. You don't want to see him.
Clip
It
that.
doesn't matter. You don't want to see him. I'd rather not see him. Do you know when I know the Lakers were going to win the series against the Warriors?
Game one,
Maybe with 90 seconds left in the fourth quarter. I'm like, I think we got it.
game six.
Yeah, game six. That was when I finally, somewhere in the fourth quarter, I never felt comfortable because they still have Clay, they still have Steph. Steph was still on a heater, and yes, the math was there. They were always leading in the series, minus when it got tied for a moment, but they were never trailing in the series. But you
Yeah.
just never felt comfortable because he has that championship pedigree. And while other players are struggling, Steph is still pretty much right there at his best. He's not at his. I think when we look at his whole career, his best years are probably behind him, but that scale is slipping so slowly that it doesn't really matter in terms of a game-to-game scenario. You're going to have to deal with him, and he's just a boogeyman. He's a monster. He can go on a heater. He can just destroy. They still have a team that has a lot of pride, that still cares a lot, that has a championship pedigree. I loved watching Warriors Kings. I stay locked in on the Lakers and obviously check out the rest of the NBA at large, but I really just stay on the Lakers. That's the only team I 100% prioritize, because it's my job. But when Warriors Kings was happening, I watched every game. I cleared my schedule. I was like, I'm not missing any Warriors Kings games. But you knew what? I knew the Warriors weren't going to lose because I just knew when the rubber meets the road, Steph was just going to take their heart out, and that's what he did Game 7. And if you read his lips, he's like, "You're not ready for this, blank."
Yeah.
He just has a level that only a few humans have. You don't want to have to face that, and you definitely don't want to have to face that in a one-game elimination. It doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. The records don't matter. You don't want to have to deal with that kind of problem. So he's a problem. So no matter what, no one's going to want to face that team, even if you're going to beat them.
Yeah,
It's
no,
going to take
100%.
you 6 games, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to take a lot out of you, and you're probably better off playing someone else because it's just going to be exhausting. Even if you win, it's gonna take all your effort and concentration to get it done.
That's, I mean, completely right. And I think that's the confidence, like, that's what we have to like rely on right now. Like obviously the season hasn't gone well, but you do have Steph Curry. It's funny you said that you didn't believe that you guys or didn't have the faith of winning it. I'll tell you exactly when I knew it was cooked was when Austin Reeves hit that half court shot. That was
Yeah,
I was
halftime.
in
Yeah,
LA and I was
That's a it's
watching.
not meant to be moment, man.
I think we were cutting the lead down. I think we got it down to like 4 or something, and then
yeah. You got it down to 4. It was like a 8-2 run, and then yeah, he hit the
hit that.
the
And
half
I'll
court
tell you,
buzzer
man,
at the break. Yeah.
I was watching it in Santa Monica where I live, and bar full of Lakers guys, and everybody. It was always I was the only one talking because everybody was nervous, and they hit that half court shot, and I had nothing else. I was like, you know what, man? This might just be yours.
Yeah, I knew it was over when Jordan Poole started slipping on invisible
Yeah,
marbles, man.
that was a
When he
lot of.
was falling over for no
Give me,
reason.
give me,
I
give
was
me a, give me a rematch of that one, man. That was a
I
fun
don't know,
one.
I'm
Game
good with
six,
the
Clay.
rematch.
What happened to him?
Man,
They had, they
Oh
had to,
man,
we
I
had to
know, man.
rebrand the pod, man. Our old podcast name was Game Six Clay Pod, so we shout out Clay, we love you, man, but we had to
Yeah.
rebrand after that one.
Well, I mean, this is tough. I mean, I look back at that series. I kind of feel the same way as you, Edwin. I mean, I'm gonna get some flack for this without a doubt. I view LeBron the same way though, man. I don't want to play LeBron in a series in a one-off series. I'm not. I genuinely feel better with the Warriors playing probably every other team in the West. If I'm being
yeah.
real, like I've always thought this is gonna also be a lot of hubris on my end. I've always thought the Warriors are a bad matchup for Denver just because of what Steph does to a defense. Um, Minnesota, young team. OKC, young team. Clippers are scary, but they're the Clippers, you know what I mean? So there's always that aspect. Um, LeBron, it's like I'm not between LeBron like being this like superhuman computer face freak, right? And Steve Kerr being the least adaptable mind in the world. Like LeBron just like has tentacles in Steve Kerr's head, man. So he knows what's coming almost every game, it seems like. Last guy. I feel the same way. He's a boogeyman in a lot of ways. I want to get slapped for that by somebody, maybe my own dad, who knows? But um, no, I fully agree, man. Speaking of LeBron, Edwin, you are like I think year 5 into the LeBron experience as a Laker. It's been a wild ride, I'm sure. Can you just kind of give us the lowdown from a fan perspective, from the media perspective of what this is a big question, man. So don't go too crazy with it if it's kind of daunting, but like what's the experience been like for one? I know there's a lot of like, is he a Lakers legend? Is he Lakers great? We know he's obviously an all-time great, whatever you want to say about LeBron, he is that, right? But what's the experience been like overall for LeBron as a Laker? And this season especially has been very dramatic is probably the kindest word to use, right? So go off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I think I think the whole time, the whole experience has been a roller coaster, and nothing. Even watching his whole career since the beginning, I've pretty much watched the entire thing, to different levels of attention the entire time. It was nothing like actually locking in and like really being there on a daily basis. It's something else. I think when Luke Walton, who was the coach at the time, speaking of those two tragedies, I know that he was told this when LeBron got signed. They said, I got good news and bad news. You're coaching LeBron James. And the reason why, good news, hey, you just got arguably the greatest player in the world. Guess what? That also comes with the responsibility, and we know what the track record, like, you might be in trouble as well for the same reason. This great guy's here. Expectations are now championship. That's his expectation. You're going to have to come correct. And of course, we saw what
It's
happened
like
with
being
Luke.
told you got 1 year left to live, man.
Yeah, so yeah, and that's exactly what happened, right? Luke came and went. Most of that roster looks vastly different, and that comes with, the territory. I always say, you get all the bad, but guess what? You also get a title. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? When you guys were bragging, what did you say? 4 titles in so and so year, right? That's what that at the end of the day, that's what
It's
makes
all
the
about.
difference, right? That's what it's about. It's all about that. Yes, it's the journey and all that, but ultimately there's one goal, and it's Larry O'Brien. And only one team gets it every year, and they've only given out 76 of them so far. So it's hard to get. Even the Lakers, as storied as they are, they have 17. That means 50 something times they didn't get it. And there was some form of disappointment in that. So it's very hard to get. You can get one, you get it, and you do what you have to do to get it. So they've gotten one. They're hoping to get more, and they're tied with the Celtics, who are also looking very, very good. So that's an issue. And having LeBron overall,
Don't
you
worry
sign
about
up for.
Boston, man.
I wish. I worry about Boston every night before I go to sleep. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, overall, yes, it's a roller coaster. It's a lot of drama. It's a lot of a lot of you wish he acted this way, or you wish things were that way. But ultimately, in the end of the day, they've been more successful. They've won a title. Even if you want to smudge that title away, okay, last year they made all the way to the conference finals. That's a top 4 finish, right? So, and this year we're talking about, hey, I still don't want to play the guy. And guess what? Next year, unless if he signs up, they're probably going to be in a good position to contend again and be at the forefront of conversations on leading the NBA world. So you got to take that, because the alternative is, role players and a scrappy team in Los Angeles fighting for it. I don't think that's what fans want. So he's delivered on all his promises. We still have more to go, and there's frustration enshrouded in all that, and that's part of the LeBron experience. Like, you knew when he was coming, his stands were coming with him. and all the hoopla and everything that every other fan base is complains about comes with it. But so does winning, and so do titles. So you take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you guys do need to lock off the LeBron thing is the parade though. That was one thing we didn't get from that one. So no, I'm playing, but
Shots fired.
a
So
little bit of love.
you mentioned like all the stuff that comes with LeBron. You kind of got one of like the classic LeBron moments over the trade deadline or right before the trade deadline with good old hourglass gate, right? LeBron did his usual tweet, right? Tweets out the hourglass. Edwin, first of all, fan reactions, your reaction. Were you among the media members who went on like a Knives Out level mystery to solve what that meant, or what was that like for you, man, and for the fans as well?
Oh, again, it was one of those when as soon as he's tweeted, I'm like, oh great, thanks. Like now I gotta deal with this, right? I gotta deal with everyone asking about this. I'm still getting asked about this, right? Which is fine. People are gonna ask, but that's the whole thing. It's like it's like when you're at the dinner table and a family member says something that you're like, that's gonna start a fight. Great. Like it's
Yeah.
you threw it out there. You made the comment that you knew you weren't supposed to make, and now here we go. It's gonna start whether I wanted to or not. So that was my main thing. I was like, why did you do this? Like, here we go. And fans, for the most part, no one took it seriously, but seriously enough to talk about it, right? They were like, oh, what does that mean? Or making jokes and memes. And it just, again, it becomes a distraction and it becomes the talk of the day. And then LeBron does this classic, gaslighting of like, what? I'm just on Twitter. And it's like, what do you mean you're just on Twitter? You put an emoji with no context in the middle of the night on the road, heading to New York. Like, I mean, you know what you're doing. Come on. Like, So, and he's like, I'm just working, guys. Like, I don't know what to tell. So it was that whole hoopla and all that stuff. At the end of the day, I think it was just him, I don't know. Again, we don't really know him, right? Like, I can tell you what he said, but you're not going to believe it. So it's like, well, what's the truth? My best guess is he was putting a little pressure or just wanted to kind of troll and kind of get some activity going. Because again, people were like, oh, he's sending the Lakers a message. Trust me, he can just send them a message directly. like, hey, do this or whatever. So it's not really about that. Maybe it is a public message because that's a public platform, but more or less. But he can also do that with the media. He could just slip a comment and he's got plenty of access to ways of getting his message out. The fact he did the cryptic thing, I think, was a trolly thing and was the thing to also kind of say, hey, like, I want to get people going and talking about it because when they look at stuff going on here, a 9 seed is not satisfactory. I mean, Curry said was way more upfront. He's like, insanity is keeping this team together, basically,
Yeah.
So all stars kind of do this kind of thing. He kind of does it sometimes in a way that's maybe a little bit more annoying, but those are my overall thoughts. It was just it's gonna ruffle some feathers, but ultimately, it was much ado about nothing. But he does stir the pot for sure.
And then
Very much just like a classic. He is who he is type move from you. It sounds like.
yeah, and then but like kind of just more on those like subliminal messages. I feel like, I mean, I can't remember the last time LeBron James was ever in trade talks, but obviously, right before the deadline, everybody woke up to that, insane just thought of, LeBron to the Warriors and that whole trade deadline going down, whatever, maybe more smoke than fire. But you heard him talk about it on, I think during the All-Star weekend on Inside the NBA, just obviously LeBron saying he found out about that, the day of too. One of those things you probably don't believe, but hey, you take it at face value. But it really does beg the question. Like, do you think LeBron is going to stay with the Lakers long term? Like, I feel like, maybe it is like you said, where the team is a 9 seed and obviously in that same spot to make that stretch run. But a team like the Warriors, a team like the Knicks, and other teams where LeBron, who, like, at the end of the day, I don't know if winning a fifth ring obviously is probably the forefront. So do you think that he sees that as the best opportunity to do that in LA, or do you think that there's a real possibility that LeBron could look somewhere else and leave this offseason or next?
I doubt that he leaves. You never say never, and who knows how things go from here. Right now, if you tell me right now, hey, like, you're betting it all, I'm like, oh, he stays. That would my bet. That wouldn't be my bet, and I wouldn't be nervous at all. I'd be nervous that I bet it all, but I wouldn't be nervous about like it happening. I'm like, that's the best bet to make because everything kind of points to that. He's been vocal about that. The team is taking care of him financially in terms of giving him the contracts he wants, and I expect him to return. I think Rich Paul talked about this as well with Stephen A. Smith about what's the, I'm paraphrasing of course because I don't have the direct quote, but he kind of was like, well, what's the win in joining? I think one thing that obviously you can't control a fan base, But one thing I think the Warriors fans got wrong was how they treated Kevin Durant. The one thing the Lakers do well is they know how to treat stars. And the parameters for the Lakers are really clear. Play hard, give your all to the team, win titles, we'll love you. If you don't do that, you're trash, get out. Very clear. That's the parameters, that's the rule. If you want to be God here, you want to live the LA life and be a star, you have to win though. That's the thing. You can do your movies, you can do your rap songs, your clothing line. We don't care. Win. If you win, we'll embrace all of it. The hourglass emoji, it's all good. If you don't win, out. You're not ready. You can't wear the colors. Get out. It's done. And I think most NBA players, when they're given that proposition, it's kind of what Kobe said. Then, if the standard of winning a title is too much for you, well, then we don't want you anyway. So we don't care if you don't want to be here. And if you are who you say you are, the fact that I say you have to win to be loved shouldn't be a problem because you probably think you could do it. So it's like, okay, great, come on board. Let's get it done. If you don't get it done, get out. So I think the part the Warriors fans got wrong with KD is that friction, is it's Steph's team and KD gets none of the credit, or why did KD get the Finals MVP? I think when LeBron looks at that now, and again, I'm kind of psychoanalyzing, I haven't talked to him about it, but just from what I think of, it's like, well, what would the benefit of me going there? If we win, we're supposed to. And if we lose, LeBron choked, he couldn't do it, he couldn't help Curry, he wasn't good enough, blah, blah, blah. And if they win, Steph, he's the guy. It's the same thing. I think the fact that kind of went off, players talk, players think about it. It's like, so I'd be KD? Didn't seem like KD liked being KD. Why would I want to be KD, right? So LeBron also wants to go to a place where he would be the man. He would not be the man if he went to Golden State. It's Curry's team. Those fans would never flip on Curry for LeBron. At most, it would be begrudging respect because you're getting the win. So exactly. Hopefully not that bad, but it would be something like that. So I think the most interesting thing is the fact the Warriors even called about it, which again, those kind of conversations do happen often. Behind the scenes, just, hey, it's worth asking, it might not happen, but you shoot your shots where you get them. So I still think that was interesting. And of course, now LeBron knows and the world knows, hey, there's other teams interested. If you ever would want to, someone there who's welcome, right? So it's good to kind of throw those feelers out.
I think LeBron knew other teams might want it.
It's true.
I think he might have had a feeling.
He did, yeah, for sure.
I love it. I do. I think you brought up the Stephen A. Smith aspect of this and the Rich Paul kind of what's the angle that works out. I think that is the most curious part, right? I think it's a lose-lose in a lot of ways for both Steph and LeBron. If they both those guys are getting absolutely rocked if they win the title. If they win, but those guys somehow lose the narrative aspect, which is stupid. We can all agree on that, right? Getting a 5th title, especially LeBron's, these guys are going to be 37 and 40 respectively if that happens, right? So respect to them for still being as good as they are, if that ever were to happen. But it is Steph, like you said, if LeBron wins the Finals MVP, there's one more that Steph didn't get, right? There's a lot of stuff to unpack with the KD stuff. I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of it. There was also a lot of KD was not exactly gracious on his way out in a lot of ways, but also, to be clear, you're right though. A lot of fans, and I'm sure at various points can count themselves part of this. They wanted Steph to have those Finals MVPs, and the fact that Steph didn't get those, we kind of a lot of fans view those as a thievery almost, despite the fact
one of them felt like it. The 2017 one, but the 2018 one, as a fan of Steph and the team, but that, just watching that series and then the narratives that built around it, I think that's what built up to that. And obviously the Draymond stuff and KD was going, he was leaving after 3 years.
All true, yeah. But no, there is some
I totally a great point. Yeah,
towards KD, we can't deny it. I think most reasonable appreciate what he did. There is some, but you're not wrong. That's the point. However, I do want to say this is for me in my mind only, staying up till 1 a.m. that I can't sleep doing this thing, right? LeBron has said he wants to play with Steph, right? He said that before. Player option this summer. If I'm LeBron, I'm just saying, if I want to go to a team, I want to do it in a way where the other team's not giving up a whole lot. The only way the Warriors could actually really feasibly get LeBron is in an opt-in trade. They can't do a sign and trade in all likelihood. It's pretty tough with where they're at in the cap. But if you're LeBron, you're hey, I don't want you to go to Kuminga. I don't want you to give up picks, whatever it might be. I opt in. Chris Paul, Wiggins, maybe at first, whatever. I'm just saying that's on the table as far as cap configurations goes. Edwin, if I had to bet, I would say he's going nowhere. For any number of reasons. First of all, from all indications, again, outside looking in, the guy lives in the best place in the world, or thereabouts. in LA. He very much likes it there. Apparently, he's playing with one of the best 10 players in the league. Could play with one of the best 3 players in the league, just saying. Up north, about 7 hours by who knows. But so I'm on the same page. TBD on all that. Edwin, I love your thoughts there, man. Despite all this, dude, there's a game this Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday, the 22nd. Edwin, going into this game, first of all, if the Lakers win, what happened? Why did they win?
One, LeBron played because he's hinted that he might not play. So if he doesn't play, they lost. But if he plays, that's one of the factors. Two, I would say they probably got what they needed to from their role players. Like D'Lo probably had a big game, even though he's a starter, but not a superstar. And Rui probably stayed on his hot streak. And I would also say they probably, if they didn't win the rebounding battle, it was close enough that the gap was negligible, like 2 or 3 rebounds off. I think that's a key. The team can kind of struggle with rebounds minus Davis. And you need to give rebounds against the Warriors. Second chance points for the Warriors. You don't want to give them more 3-point shots. So I think they have to make sure if they don't win the battle on the boards, they're at least close. So I think if LeBron plays, D'Lo and Rui continue their good form, and they can keep the battle of the boards close, they can win the game.
And then obviously on the flip side, how do the Warriors win this one? How do the Lakers, if they lose this, why was it a loss? What happens, and how do the Warriors kind of take advantage of some of the stuff that Lakers can do on the court?
I think the Lakers struggle with perimeter defense and guarding the 3, and this is a team that can do that, right? Clay, he's been up and down all season. We know this, but he just had a recently huge monster game coming off the bench. Kurt's trying to figure out the best ways to use him as well. If you don't have to get a game like that, I don't think, from Clay, but if he's giving you, I don't know, 24 points and he went 5 for 8 from 3, and Curry does what he's been doing, he's getting his shots up at a ridiculous level at this point. And then you have Draymond, who does give AD trouble. He's a physical player. He loves that challenge. He embraces it, and he's strong enough to kind of bang with AD, and he's also quick enough to kind of keep up with AD when he does dribble or get to his spot. So I would say keep having a good game from Clay. Curry's Curry, and if Draymond can kind of get close to canceling out AD, that would be the road to victory for the Warriors.
Yeah, that was kind of my favorite matchup looking at this. Is like if Draymond can stay out of foul trouble in this game and just kind of line up with AD for the most part, I think the Warriors are in a pretty good spot. The Lakers, pardon me, they're down Bando. Obviously, Schroeder's out there this year. Those are 2 guys the Lakers left throwing that Steph, who actually against Schroeder the last few games last season was just a pain in the ass. So props to him not being there anymore. That was gonna be my number 1 matchup. Gautam, what you looking at in the game, man?
Man, for me, I think Edwin, you kind of touched it, man. Clay off the bench. I think that a lot of these games, especially in the playoff series, Clay was, the legs were always a big thing, and that Jazz game, it really looked like, when he came off the bench, his legs were fresh. He was getting some good lift on those threes, and he's always been a difference maker for us on this team, obviously, but I think just like having that firepower off the bench, just coming off that double overtime game, Steph obviously went crazy. LeBron had an insane game, so hopefully LeBron plays. I mean, obviously it's fun when those 2 play, but I like the way we've matched up, especially now with Draymond back, like you said, with the AD matchup. I think it not necessarily mitigates it from a rim protector standpoint. I think AD is always just going to be there changing shots, but with Draymond on the floor, defensively, at least for us, it kind of gives us a better look. But I think having GP2 back, a guy like Pods who stepped in, so Kuminga taking the leap. So I'm excited to see this team, and obviously, the Lakers are ahead of us in the standings, tied on the loss record. So big game coming off the All-Star break. So looking forward to that. But Edwin, before we get out of here, man, quick little rapid fire predictions for this game. Give us your score and the winner of this game on Thursday.
So it'll be 121-114, and I have the Lakers winning.
Lakers winning. All right, highest score.
D'Lo.
Wow.
Wow, I love that, man.
Made.
Look at you.
Most threes made.
D'Lo,
respect. If this happens, man, I swear there might be a hole in this TV in my apartment. Most likely to receive a flopping tech.
Taurean Prince.
All right, respect. That might be a hole in some Lakers fans in TV. One thing you bet your house on happens tonight or in this game.
Fans of either team will complain about the officiating.
I love it. And then finally, non-star impact player of the game.
Jackson Hayes.
I like it. Matt, run through yours, man. What you got?
Oh my gosh, I get to go?
We got
All
to
right,
combat
yeah.
the Lakers. We can't end it with a Lakers win, man. What you talking about?
I'm the wrong guy, man. If you're looking for Warriors to win, you shouldn't be asking me these questions, dude. Yeah, I actually feel good about this game for once. I'm really curious to see Kuminga play against a physical team like the Lakers, first of all. I'm not going to call him the key to the game, but I really want to see it. It's his breakout. But final score, I'm going to go 115-109 Warriors.
You're fired. I love it. I'm gonna go 118-107. I think the Warriors kind of get first game back, legs rested, get some revenge for that double overtime loss, man. But Edwin, appreciate you on the show tonight, man. Absolute pleasure getting to know you, chopping it up. Before we get out of here, always do some shout outs. So you got anything we'd love to shout out? Obviously, blog, but anything that you also got working on, side projects, or you want to say hi to parents, mom and dad, whatever. Yeah, take the floor, man.
Thanks, I appreciate that. No, just make sure you're following me on all social media platforms. eCreates88 is my handle there. So Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube. My main thing's on Twitter right now. I'm gonna expand a little bit more on my YouTube stuff because I have enough access where it probably makes sense to show some behind the scenes. But Twitter's definitely the place to be. That's where I'm locked in on everything going on. TikTok and Instagram as well, and just read everything happening on Silver Screen and Roll. We, again, like I said, we're staying locked in. We have big features, news articles, recaps. At every home game that I attend, I kind of write like a big feature there of like what that experience was like and what the big story there was. Those have been fun and challenging to write, and they always kind of, I think, come out pretty well. So just read up what's happening at Silver Screen and Roll, and that's probably the best way to support me besides following me on the other platforms.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, Warriors fans, obviously it's gonna be a tough one to sell, but no, obviously Edwin, great guy. Check out Silver Screen and Roll. I have peeped a few of the articles here and there, so definitely some good stuff. But Matt, anything you got coming up, man?
No, man, we're trying to build bridges, all right, guys. We're trying to build a good relationship with
Yeah.
our fellow NBA fans and media people out there. So check out Edwin, head writer at one of the best and biggest and most well-run Lakers blogs. So check him out. The guy's as plugged in as anybody. Obviously, he was an awesome guest. I also want to shout out our guy Chuck. He couldn't be here today. Charlie Cummings. Most of us are familiar. I mean, you've listened to the pod, you're familiar. I'm not gonna say most of us. There's two of us here who definitely are familiar, and Edwin at some point. I hope you get to meet him. But shout out Chuck. He couldn't be here today, but he's putting out a Kuminga piece pretty soon. A lot of good nuggets in there if you're a JK head, like a lot of us are. So get Chuck, and that's it, man. Edwin, thanks again.
Of
As
course.
always, guys, check out the pod, follow us, follow Edwin, Instagram, YouTube, all the good stuff, man. But until the next episode, guys, go Warriors. Big second half stretch coming. So let's see if we get Edwin on for a playoff or playing matchup. Let's see. But till the next one, guys. Peace.